judges, lawyers, cops, general population, a lot of people who don't study medicine and the science thereof, and they don't study chemistry very well, they don't study physics very well, they don't know that their IQ is probably very low, or they're incompetent in some way, or they claim they also don't have time, and whatever reason they're not learning about physical chemistry. Everything in the world and the universe, except for space, is made of physical chemistry. That is made of atoms that are made of atomic particles and subatomic particles. And these are all in a field of subatomics and atomics. Okay, so the definition of time is the motion of objects. So evidence would require that you show the motion of objects all throughout time. So we're going to be at this for a really long time until we really get the truth. So far, right now, currently, science behind medicine and even law does not compete or complete or completely show the science of medicine itself or law itself. So what we're up against right now is a bunch of ignorant people and people that are creating new things that we have to fight against, and we should know from the start that there's going to be problems. Okay? Every single time somebody creates something, somebody dies for it. And I've warned you, and I've warned you, and you, and you. You all need to know that there are a lot of things that can happen behind the scenes, the underground of medicine and science. You can't necessarily always trust science or medicine. Many times you can't always trust it. And currently, if you do enough research, you're going to learn the standard of medicine that we are at right now. And that means they do not have enough evidence to measure living people or organisms very well. There are a lot of practices and tools that they do not have, or measurements that they do not have, to actually show a person's actual status. So like your chemical status, your brain status, that all has to be measured by x-rays. And it can't be done at the chemical level because it will kill you. So it can only show a really generic volumetric image, which doesn't tell you very much. Okay? They can do some light tricks with MRIs and CAT scans. And that's about all they can do. It's not going to go to the chemical level to show you how your chemistry and your disorders that are based on chemistry are going to actually work, or if they even exist. And oftentimes doctors aren't measuring your DNA, and then they have to go through a hierarchy of protein systems and any molecule or atom or chemical that interacts with DNA from the beginning of the building of a cell to the creation of its functions until it dies, in all the different types of cells in your body, and all the chemicals that can and do and will and have reacted, for what reason, how, and why. These are all particulate in nature, and they react specifically. And they have particle fields that are both atomic and subatomic all around them, and they are affected by gravity as well. And they also have opposing forces. They have different ionization rates and they all react differently. They react differently based on what is near them, what is around them. Their entire system of energy can vary a lot and constantly vary. So your reactability is one thing. And then also, chemicals in your body go in all different directions and may permit through multiple receptors. Okay? They may go through multiple receptors. So basically, this is not just easy peasy, cut and dry. This is extremely difficult, and we do not have the tools to measure a person's body very well. But we do have what we call lab science. Okay? It's not exactly always mostly from a living human being, but it's very related. It's related, but indirectly related medical measurement science. And that indirect measurement medical science is not actually accurate enough to say that it works for a real living person. You need to know this. This is all about particles and motion and how they interact energetically. The particle atom is a system of particles, and it interacts based on molecular structures, how it's bonded to different atoms, what's in the environment, where it's at in the environment, where it's at in gravity, where it's at in the body, what kind of cell it's interacting with, what chemicals are around it, how much heat or temperature or photons there are, how much magnetism there is, how much water there is, any chemical, any air, anything that could possibly be there has to be shown to be measured. And we call that medical evidence. You have to show this all in chemistry. It is a lot of chemistry in the millions and millions of reactions. Or they're not all positive reactions. They're also negative reactions or partially charged reactions. So you need to know that as well. You need to know that all these reactions are critical, and they can determine the truth of whether or not something is diagnosed correctly or a treatment is effective, or whether you have an illness or not, or whether you do or don't live or die, or whether you're going to be cured or whatever. It's all very difficult, and the truth of the matter is that it's highly unlikely that we will know everything about the human body for a while. There's a lot that we fight on a daily basis. Cutting out toxins and poisons and allergies and infections and cancer and stress and bad people and all of these things in the world that's so stupid and lame and phony and so criminal. You have to do this stuff. You have to if you want to survive. And that can help you greatly. We all have certain conditions that are very related to all humans. Some of us are genetically different, but we're still fairly normal. I have an IQ between 114 and 120, and that just means that I'm really good at math and geometry, especially geometry. And that just means that I can also use language fairly well. And I know systems. As a matter of fact, I can design systems. And I can do chemistry. I know chemistry and I know biology. I know all of the phylogenetic tree of life. And, well, I don't know all of the phylogenetic tree of life, but I know about the phylogenetic tree of life and that there are a lot of things in the phylogenetic tree of life. And I've researched at least the titles of a lot of what is in the phylogenetic tree of life. And then, I know about psychology, psychiatry, biogenesis, everything everything: medicine, physiology, anatomy, pathophysiology, cell biology, genetics. I got all that. I studied it. As a matter of fact, you can see the books right there. They're right there. I've already read about it all. I'm not a doctor, but I'm as wise as a doctor. I can challenge a doctor. And that's because I'm human and I'm not stupid. You need to be able to challenge people in this world legally because they can tell you lies and they can lie about a lot of things. You need to be aware of that, and they will lie to you and they don't care. They'll do a lot of things to you and even falsely imprison you based on lies. You need to be aware they're actually doing this right now to my girlfriend. Well, she was my girlfriend, but I think we're breaking up. And I'm trying to help her get out of this situation. I have called the police numerous times. I talked to attorneys. There's massive amounts of medical malpractice in my life by this company called CMHC. And I've been going through this for 20 years now. And they made me nothing but worse. There are other contributing factors that make me worse on my own behalf. And then there's just a question of what is my real medical status, because they never really measured me. They never really accurately measured me. So I have to sit here and dream that one day I'm going to see justice. They won't even step forward to supply me with justice. And it's sickening because I'm being victimized. And people are out there saying, oh, don't play the victim card, blah, blah, blah. Well, I'm sorry. People are the victim. I hate to tell you, there are a lot of people that are victims. You know, all these little superstars and stuff like that, they're victims too. You know, you can look as beautiful as a silhouette of an angel. And I'm just saying, you can be as beautiful as any angel, and you're still a victim. You're going to be at some point in your life, and you're going to find out what it's like to be that victim, because it's going to suck. It's going to suck so bad. It comes to some of us early in life because of other people making mistakes, and even ourselves making mistakes. And I've aged greatly in the last 8 years. I looked tons. This is not even the face you should be recognizing right now. This is a completely different, older me than I was 8 years ago. I looked almost like a young kid 8 years ago. I was actually good looking. Now I'm not. So, I mean, there's a lot you need to learn about medicine and science and the law and how people interact, and psychopaths and sociopaths and schizophrenics, and some of these sciences aren't even real. We've come to find out that they don't even have the science behind these medical claims that they make in medicine. So there's just a ton of stuff that you got to dig deep. It takes a long time. I've been doing it for 8 long years, and here I am. I'm telling you now, there's fraud in the system.